Welcome to our video. We got a very special man here. This guy called the Bitcoin top at $43,000 and he warned everyone to sell. However, he didn't, but this is 10Bagger. So bro, introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are, what you're most famous for.
So I've been trading for around 8 years, mainly started with the weed stocks, and I got in early on the weed stocks. I figured it was going to be a bubble. And, I thought weed is going to pop off and they were legalizing it and stuff. But I got in like really early on before Trudeau was even elected. So those paid off very well. And that's kind of how I got my foot in the door. And I knew this basic thing that was buy the mystery, sell the history, which is you buy something before the news comes out in anticipation of good news. So in the case with weed, it was buy it in anticipation that it's getting legalized. But as soon as it's legalized, that's actually when you sell it, because that's when the retail crowd and everyone's rushing to buy. They think, oh, it's legalized, time to buy, when it's actually the smart money bought way before. So exactly. I figured the same with Bitcoin. And I was actually telling people to get out in November 2021. It was like right at the top, 68,000. And I remember telling my group, I was saying, go heavy on Bitcoin shorts. I was telling them I'm not selling, loading up on shorts. And they all thought I was crazy. They're like, it's hitting all-time highs. Like it's almost 70,000. Like, why would you go short? And basically what I saw a distribution pattern on the chart. A distribution pattern is basically a pattern where there's slow selling. You know, I call it the big boys, the big money, the big banks. Those guys are selling slowly so that people don't notice. And so then they did a fake out on the day they announced high inflation. For the first time, they announced like 30% inflation, highest inflation in like 30, 40 years. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, and then also there was a bunch of articles dropping. JP Morgan is like, Bitcoin's going to 147,000. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, these are the same guys that told people to sell at 3,000 years back. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, they're playing the same trick. They tell people to sell so they can load up, and then they tell people to buy so they can dump. And that's what essentially they did. But I it all clicked together for me. And then I go back to my weed stocks, and I'm like, I thought of it, I'm like, this is going to be a sell the news event, because everyone thinks Bitcoin's an inflation hedge. So it was going up, up, and up, and up. And now they announced high inflation. And I'm like, it clicked in my head. I'm like, that's it. That's the top, because that was the mystery. And now, it came out, all the anticipation is done. High inflation, we know about it now. And it was a sell the news event, and it's been going down ever since. Literally the day they announced high inflation, that was the top. And it was the same with the weed stocks. Literally the day before weed was legalized was the top.
Damn. Yeah. Well, do you still
pretty wild?
Do you still trade weed stocks, or like do you have like a favorite pair or a ticker that you like to trade, or do you still trade weed stocks?
I haven't been trading weed stocks for a while. I might touch them here and there if it looks like something's about to pop off. But for the most part, there's so many bag holders in those stocks. Wow. Guys that they bought late, they lost so much money.
Damn.
Money. Hello? Or even just guys that got in early, sold, and they gave it all back. And a lot of people, Tesla, where they watch themselves make so much money, and they just never sell, because people are taught not to sell. Hold on, always hold on for dear life. And I think that's a wrong way of going about it.
Oh yeah.
You talk about holding and hodling, right? How people in the crypto space call it. I feel like the biggest hodlers and the biggest people who took the biggest L's are people in the crypto space with their holding bags. Because, dude, I know
Yeah.
so many people who are still writing their bags down from like all-time highs, people who bought at 50, at 55,000. And I literally feel like a lot of these thinking of holding institutions created that on purpose to create losers so
Yes,
they can become winners, like literally.
absolutely. There is people that made a lot holding on, and with a lot of stocks that is the case. But you know, just because someone got in early and they're up a lot of money doesn't mean, even if somebody, and personally, you guys know my belief, I personally think Bitcoin and crypto is
Yeah.
worthless, and that's probably gonna like make people think I'm nuts. And a lot of people think, how can he think that? Well, I don't want to go through why, because there's so many factors, it'll take forever. But just in terms of, if I turn out to be right, and I think eventually it will, even if you bought at $1 Bitcoin or 100, eventually you could have rode it all the way up to 60K and give it all the way back. And
Yeah.
a lot of people do that because, I guess greed and delusion. And so I think it's important to take your profits.
Oh, 100%, especially with if you were trading and holding, like taking your profits. I feel like anyone who's been in the stock market or in the crypto space, I'm not too familiar with the stock market. I am more into the crypto space. And we've all written down our profits. When you have a good entry, you have a good level, you're
Yeah,
happy, you're that's it. You got it.
it happens to me too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it happens to the best of us. I actually wanted to ask you in regards of the stock market. Did you start trading with the Wii stocks, or was that something that you just bought and held?
Yeah, wheat stocks, they were the first stocks I bought. And for the most part, actually kind of started trading penny stocks initially, but only with like a couple $1,000s. And basically, I lost that couple $1,000s
Yeah.
on these penny stocks. And they were Colorado wheat stocks because they were legalizing it in Colorado. And I got in late. I bought late because I bought after it was already legalized. And
Ah,
that's
Yeah.
actually how I learned my lesson for the next time around. Because and I actually gave up for a bit. I even closed my accounts. I'm like, this is a scam, forget this. I lost $2,000. And then Trudeau comes around. He's like, yeah, I want to legalize weed. And I'm like, here's my
Perfect.
chance. It clicked. I'm like, here's my chance. I'm like, this time I'm gonna be early. And I was, and those paid out really nicely for me, those weed stocks. Are you guys Canadians?
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
bro.
from Manitoba.
How your TFSA, at my age, I think the TFSA, the max you can contribute is like probably 75, 80,000 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's at 740,000. And that's from
Holy.
the wheat stocks.
Wow.
Because basically, when you make money in your TFSA, you're only allowed to contribute this much money into your TFSA, right? But
Yes.
that money can become unlimited amounts of money. And once you withdraw, that increases your contribution amount. So let's say your contribution is 50,000, but you buy some stocks and that 50,000 becomes 500. And
Mhm.
now
Okay.
you go pull out that 500,000. Now you're going to have 500,000 contribution room.
Oh,
Damn.
wow.
Yeah. So you're not supposed to trade in your TFSA. You're not supposed to buy and sell. And a lot of people do. I think there's a mark that the government, the CRA is going to look at you. But for most people, the CRA doesn't look at, right? But if people start like trading really actively in their TFSA, or they're living off of that income, then it might set off some red flags for the CRA. I was mainly holding the wheat stocks for a while when I got in. And yeah, I did well in my TFSA. And so my contribution room is pretty high. I'm sure there's guys out there with even a lot higher, but pretty high,
Yeah.
740,000. So that's why I called myself 10 bagger, because I 10 bagged my TFSA.
That's
Dude,
dope.
I like that.
So
I
f-
Yeah.
like that.
so for anyone, so for someone who would want a TFSA, like what would someone have to do, or how does someone go about to open a TFSA account?
Yeah, no, just go to the bank, tell them you want a TFSA investing account, and they should open it up for you. Shouldn't be a problem. You should find out your contribution room. So that depends on your age, and how much you contributed in the past before.
Yeah,
Um, so how old are you guys?
I'm 20.
And I'm 24.
Okay. So, Manny, your contribution room is going to be a decent amount less than Thomas. Thomas, I don't know the exact number. You'll have to do the calculation online. There's some sites you can find out the contribution level for each year. But let's say, Thomas, yours is probably around, give or take, $30,000 contribution room.
Mhm.
30, maybe a little bit more. And
Yeah.
Manny, yours is probably only around 12. So it starts when you're 18, and it's give or take 5 or 6 thousand per year, and it adds up if you haven't used it in the previous year.
Okay. Yeah, when I was 18, I actually bought when I turned 18, I actually bought Tesla stock
Nice.
through Wealth Simple Trade through a TFSA account. So I actually
Okay.
have a TFSA account and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
that was
you did well on
exciting.
that, because that was 2 years ago. That was, I don't know, 2 years ago. If you go right now, I think it's down a little bit. But
Ye-
if you go like 3 years back or just over 2 years, then it's like up, the
I
Tesla
rem
stock.
So yeah, I remember I got it right before Tesla split.
The
So
first split.
yes, the first split. So I believe I got two or three official like stocks before the split, and then
Yeah.
and then I sold like 2 or 3 months after for like 2 or 3 grand profit. You know,
Okay.
so it wasn't too shabby, but it is what it is, and I'm kind of glad I pulled out at that time. So
Yeah, you're good, because now you would have pretty much given it all back.
exactly, yeah. But so I saw that you have a stock market course. Do you want to talk about that? Like what do you provide there?
Yeah, so basically, I made my Instagram page. It was just less than 2 years ago, and I was just posting a lot of free information, like I still do. And I was showing people some of my trades, and before I was just doing shares at the time. I
Yeah.
moved to options this year, but yeah, so I was making money, and people seen that, and people started messaging me. They're like, "Do you have a course?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have a course." Like, I wasn't selling anything at all. No Discord, no course, nothing. I was just posting free info. But a bunch of people started asking me. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll make a course. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So I made the course. And basically, the way I designed the course is to teach you from the ground up. So it starts with the absolute basics, and the basics being, like, literally the basics about the different accounts, the TFSA, ETFs, dividends,
Yeah.
um, you know, basic terms. It starts with that, but then it gets more and more advanced throughout the course. So then it starts going into fundamental analysis. The technical analysis is the biggest focus in the course, which is learning how to read the charts.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something I learned over time. And if you can read the charts, you can predict with a pretty high accuracy what will happen or where a stock will go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Obviously nothing is guaranteed, but the charts have helped me time many things, like, throughout the time. I even was able to see the reversal on the Nasdaq to the day, the very top.
Holy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have a post on that. It's in my highlights, and it says that's a reversal on the Nasdaq. And then I followed through. It was like the next day, and I said that's like a confirmation of a reversal. And basically, it was a big bearish engulfing candlestick. So it was running up like this,
Yeah.
and I already saw. I was like, okay, that's a red flag. This is called um it's like a parabolic move. Like NASDAQ was almost going parabolic,
Yeah.
you know, and what tends to happen at the end of bull markets, and the end of big upswings is you get this final push to the upside where it's very dramatic and everything's going up like crazy. And you've seen it with crypto, you've seen it with EV stocks, with Nvidia and everything. And they all topped out after it was like this. It was almost vertical. And that's when it reversed. And that's when most things that tend to reverse. That's one of the like biggest clues. So I saw that on the NASDAQ. And anyways, yeah, if you could learn to read the charts, you know, you need to read charts if you're going to trade. Even if you're
Absolutely.
going to invest, I think it's a good idea to learn the charts, because a lot of people buy stocks that have these terrible charts. Maybe they went up for a month and now suddenly they're getting in. They think it's a good investment. But if you zoom out, the chart is like just disgusting.
Just horrible.
And, you know, the past doesn't always predict the future, but, you know, there's so many signs that you need to look at, trends, higher low, higher high, volume, RSI, Bollinger Band. So many things will clue you into whether something is a good buy or not.
Do you would you mind sharing what are your 3 favorite indicators that you use
Yeah.
when looking at charts?
I'd say the most important one is the volume. And the volume is the most important because that tells you where the bulk of people are buying or selling, or where the bulk of people bought or sold. So if you see something go up like this, and then suddenly there's a big volume spike after it went way up, and then it starts dropping, well, what does that mean? That means everybody who bought up here, and it's a lot of volume, is sitting in the red. So that means a lot of people are in the red, and that provides a lot of resistance. And it goes the opposite way as well, where something's dropping a lot and then suddenly there's a big volume spike. Well, that means maybe a lot of people panic sold right near the bottom. And oftentimes that signals a bottom or a support area, or, you know, too many people short at the lows and then they got trapped. It's not always the case, but volume is definitely my favorite indicator. I feel it's the most important indicator. And price action is important. It's not a specific indicator, but you can tell based on the way things move sometimes, whereas like something's dropping and then suddenly it's going sideways for a while. And maybe bad news is coming out, but it's not dropping further. Like Bitcoin right now, it's had all this bad news recently, but it hasn't gone lower. It's actually gone higher. It doesn't make sense. And, you know, not that I think it's the bottom, but oftentimes something like that will signal a temporary reversal. And so you see Bitcoin's been going up a little bit recently, even though like they're talking about Binance going down and everything.
Yeah.
And so the price action has to make sense. If bad news is coming out, but something's not dropping, or if good news is coming out, but it's not going up further, that's often a red flag and a sign of a reversal. And I like moving averages a lot. So I use moving averages a lot of the time to help myself identify targets on, you know, where a stock might go. And I typically use the 4-day, the 8-day, 4 and 8 period in general. 50, 100, 150, and 200 are the main ones that I look at.
Okay, yeah.
You talked about price action. Is with price action trading, is that like your main trading strategy?
It's definitely a part of it, but the main thing I focus on is the volume. And the volume will clue me into the you know, the biggest, where something might reverse, or target areas and stuff like that. I find the volume is the most effective. But it's a combination of volume, price action, moving averages, you know, Bollinger Bands. I don't use the RSI or the MACD too much, but sometimes. And things like fake outs, where, you know, maybe it looks like a bull flag and then it breaks bullish, but then it starts dropping. And that's called a fake out. because it basically was a bullish pattern. It broke, sucked a lot of people in, and now suddenly it's going the other way, and now trapped those people in the red. So that's called a fake out, and that tends to be very effective too.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think we've all got wrecked by a fake out before, either to the upside or downside.
Yes.
But I do want to ask you something, bro. You don't like Bitcoin, and you don't really, I mean, I've only heard you talk about Bitcoin in regards to the crypto space.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. Do you think that crypto in general is just all going to collapse, or do you think there is some valuable projects in the crypto or NFT or Web3 space, I should say?
You know, if like a lot of people bring up XRP all the time, right? And XRP, like to my knowledge and from what I see, they have the best software. Okay, so their software seems to be the most efficient, and I think it's secure and stuff too. But I still wouldn't invest in XRP. And the reason is I'm not entitled to anything when I buy a cryptocurrency. Now, there's companies, they're making money off of mining. There's companies, they're making money off of the transaction fees. The exchanges, they're making money. You know, whatever else, they're finding ways to make money. But when I buy a cryptocurrency, I'm not entitled to any of their profits. And so that's why I'm not interested in buying any cryptos itself, because what you own is not like a piece of a company, or you're not entitled to anything really. The only thing is you're buying something to use. And to me, when you buy a crypto, you're not an investor, you're actually a customer. So let's just say Axie Infinity. I don't know, what's their coin, Axie Infinity?
Oh man.
It was Axie. But
AXI, I think.
But they had a crazy hack, right?
So, you know, like let's say these coins that are tied to a game or they're tied to a browser, you know, what happens if that game is no longer popular? What happens if nobody's using that decentralized platform? Then their coin is essentially worthless. You know, and I look at the games as like a good example, like, you know, the Sandbox. Sure, maybe people play that game now. Maybe they're buying stuff in the Sandbox, but then a better game comes out. Then what's your coin worth? So to me, the coins are like, they're almost like arcade tokens to like Dave and Buster's or something, where you're buying something to use on their network or their game or the platform. But you're not entitled to any of their profits. And for that reason, I don't see value in it. But if you were to ask me, would I invest in Ripple? That's a different story. Ripple is the company that makes XRP. Now, Ripple's maybe making money. Ripple, maybe they got deals with banks, governments. I don't know. A lot of that stuff, a lot of people make up, so I don't even know if it's true. But let's just say Ripple actually has deals with the government. They have deals with banks. Let's say they do. Then it would make sense to me to invest in Ripple, because now I own a piece of the pie. They're making money. I own a piece of their business. I'm entitled to part of their profits, whether it be through dividends or just growth of the company or earnings per share. But in terms of XRP, you don't own any part of the company, and you're not entitled to anything really. And for that reason, you know, unless something fundamentally changes about crypto, if they're all the same in that sense, where you're not entitled to any of their profits, then I don't see why they should have much value.
But how is that different from the stock market? Like, I understand if you're buying like let's say Coca-Cola and stuff where they pay you dividends.
Yeah.
But if you're buying regular stocks that does not pay you dividends, how are you making any money? Because if the company, like, let's use Tesla, right? Like, if you hold Tesla and Tesla has bad news, you're losing money, right? But if Tesla has let's say Tesla has a good quarter, yes, the price of your stock will increase. But in crypto, that can also be applied in crypto. Like Polygon, like they signed contract with like FIFA and some pretty big players. their coin blew up by like 20%.
So fair, and that here's the thing when it comes to that is that, you know, when you invest in a stock, there's a few ways that you're essentially getting paid out. One is through earnings per share. So when a company makes money, there's something called earnings per share. Now, they can choose to either pay that out to shareholders. That could be a special dividend. They can do share buybacks, which often they do, and they can do, and just the company is growing. So you're when you buy share in a stock, in essence, you're entitled to part of the company. Very small piece, mind you. But if the company is growing and their assets are worth more, and their buildings are worth more, their patents are worth more, you know, you're entitled to part of their assets. So there's a few ways. There's share buybacks, there's dividends, there's the earnings per share, and there's just the growth in the assets and the value of the company's assets. Now, in terms of crypto, you know, like you might bring up that it's a technology, right? And that they have a specific technology. Do you own the patents for it? You know, are you entitled to the patents, or does the company that made the crypto or the individual that made the crypto own the patents, and you're just the user of the patents? So this is the difference: is that when you buy crypto, you just own the coin, but you don't own any part of the company. You don't own the patents. You don't own the buildings. You don't own the transaction fees. You're not entitled to anything. Whereas if I buy a stock, I'm entitled to their profits. I'm entitled to their dividends, share buybacks, part of their assets. Maybe I got a vote on the company. I get what you're saying, and you know, but I think that's the most simple way I can explain it right now.
No, I mean, I kind of understand what you're talking about. I kind of get it, but because in crypto, I'm just gonna be the devil's advocate, you know?
No, it's fair. I like the challenge, so it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, in crypto, for example, like if you can own projects where you can stake your coins, you can stake different asset classes that crypto has, like USDT and all of this, and you can actually get paid for that. So it almost works like a dividend. I mean, of course, we've seen how that can like really hurt, like with the whole FTX thing. And I mean, there is a lot of drawback. And I personally, my opinion, I think crypto, if it needs a little bit regulation. So because with regulation becomes rules that crypto companies need to follow. And I think that is one thing that's missing from the space is actual regulation. And like, do you want to play? Well, then you got to deal with these regulations like they have in stocks, you know, and like the stock market, I mean, it's been around for so much longer, but if we get some proper regulation, I think it would change a lot of people's mind on it.
To keep people safe. And that's fair. And I think that could be a benefit. There's something I was thinking and I wanted to mention in particular. Sorry. In terms of the yields, the problem with that is the way that it works is it's essentially a Ponzi scheme. The reason you're getting the yield is because someone else is borrowing money or the coins at a high interest rate on margin. And let's say Coinbase is charging them 30% on margin to borrow the coins or borrow USDC. And they do that. Binance charges like 30% or something if you want to use their leverage, right? So what they do is they're charging you 30%, the person borrowing 30%, and the person who's staking, they're giving out 5%, 10%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The problem with the way this works is it's essentially a Ponzi scheme. You need more people to keep coming in and more people to keep borrowing money on margin in order for it to keep working. So that's the problem.
That's correct. But does that apply to Binance? Because Binance has 36 trillion like $36 trillion worth of volume last year. That is, I understand where you're coming from, and I
Yeah.
mean, if what you're saying does sound like a Ponzi scheme, but if Binance is a Ponzi scheme and they all collapse, I think that crypto is going to just go away. It's just going to disappear. Like, I mean,
I don't even think it's going to go away. I think the coins eventually will, but like cryptocurrency, like the technology, and I personally, I don't even people to kill me for saying I don't think the technology or the software is that revolutionary. If you ask me, I think it's still. I think it'll stick around, but I don't think it's anything that's like mind blowing. It's very simple. It's a very simple concept, right? It's basically the ledger, the blockchain, which is, I call it a big notepad. And with each new log of information on the blockchain, you need millions of computers or nodes or whatever to verify it. To me, in a way, it's kind of very inefficient because I feel like good encryption technology should be a lot more efficient. Like it shouldn't require millions of computers or nodes or whatever in order to verify the security. But I do think the basic concept will stick around, and I think banks and governments will use it. I think they'll find a more efficient method to use it where you don't need like to be using the amount of electricity as Australia to power the network, you know. But I think the concept will stick around. But yeah, in terms of Binance, like you were saying, there's a lot of volume on there for sure. But that's just because of hype, how crazy people were, because all that volume, it's not doing anything. It's just money going back and forth. It's like, oh, let me give you some money, let you give me back some money, and we're trading these imaginary coins back and forth. Whereas if you look at the US dollar and it's trading trillions of dollars per day, it's not just people trading it back and forth. It's people trading it for resources, for oil, for gold, for lumber, for wheat, whatever else. But in terms of all that volume on Binance, a lot of it is just, here's some money. Oh, I want to make some money. I want to make a flip. But it's not doing anything. It's like a game. It's like everyone wants to buy to sell it higher, but there's no real purpose of what they're doing on Binance. They're not buying anything, like no commodities are getting exchanged,
I am a big supporter of crypto, but I have this crazy evil theory, okay?
Yeah.
That crypto was introduced for us, for everyone to get used to internet money or money via blockchain, via wallets. So that way, when the governments introduce CBDCs, central bank and digital currencies, they are a lot more welcoming because you already have a wallet, you already have your own blockchain, you have all of these different things, you're used to it, right? And one thing, and that was right before we had this entire ordeal a couple years back, right? The World Health Organization, Klaus Schwab, he went on the internet and he said, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And during last year's crypto boom, I saw so many people that had like millions of dollars in their accounts. But you look at it and it's like, it makes sense. Like mathematically, you have the money. But like, do you really have the money? That question, like with crypto, it always comes up. You cannot avoid it.
Well, I think when people buy crypto, essentially, it is kind of nothingness that's been put at a value on what is essentially nothing. There's nothing physical tied to it other than the miners and stuff. But again, you don't own that when you buy the crypto. I have a different theory. I see the potential for what you're saying, and that makes sense. I have a few other theories. I was thinking that basically Bitcoin was invented in like 2009, or so. And basically, that's when the US really went on a printing spree, a money printing spree. Now, part of my theory is basically that they invented crypto to absorb a lot of that extra money. See, if crypto didn't exist, there was so much extra money printed in the last few years, right? If crypto didn't exist, where would that money have gone? Maybe it would have gone into oil. Maybe it would have gone into lumber, wheat, just spending, right? And it would have caused insane amounts of inflation if crypto didn't exist. So I believe crypto is actually created to absorb all that inflation from all this extra money, because now you have all this extra money that's literally going into nothing. So it's not causing the price of oil to rise. It's not causing the price of lumber to rise. It's literally going into nothing. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the governments created it to absorb all of this extra cash and keep inflation kind of tame, and eventually restore more faith in the government. Because, I mean, I'm sure people, after seeing what happened to crypto, they probably trust government currency for the most part more than they trust crypto.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Dude, that's a crazy thought. That's insane. I've never even thought of that. That's crazy.
It's very smart. If they actually did that, it's extremely intelligent. Yeah, all that excess capital is going into nothingness, right?
Wow.
It's insane. That's crazy. That's something I've never heard anyone say that before, ever. That theory is completely new to me, and that it makes you think about it for sure.
Yeah. It's very smart. It's very smart. And when they pull the rug, you know,
Damn.
all that money kind of just disappears. Excess capital literally just vanished. It is quite interesting.
Hey,
There's something behind, something bigger than the average person knows, for sure.
Yeah.
Have you heard the theory Satoshi is Elon?
Yeah, I've heard people say that. I don't think so.
No, me neither.
But actually,
Yeah.
now that you brought up Elon, did you see Elon sold like $3.6 billion of his Tesla stock? What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
He sold 40 billion.
Holy
In
crap.
in the last 1 year, he sold 40 billion worth.
Why do you think he's selling?
I think he's I think he's a smart guy. I think he knows that it's topped. He knew it topped a long time ago. In fact, he began selling literally right at the top. So,
Elon is the biggest shiller yet.
okay, sorry, it's just some calling me. Hopefully they don't start. 1 second.
All good.
I think he's smart. He even said on Twitter, he posted an emoji. It was right in January 2022. And the emoji was the top emoji. It just says top and it points up.
Yeah,
So I'm like, this guy knows it's the top. Like, he knows.
that.
That's why he's selling. He's smart. He's just making sure he secures a lot of his wealth, you know?
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, we talked a little bit about stocks and crypto and stuff, but I want to talk about, do you have any personal habits or like routines that you do that drastically improves your day-to-day life, like in trading, in making money, or any aspect like that?
You know, I have had an insane amount of dedication and fixation on the markets. It's almost unhealthy that how much I have focused on the markets for the last 8 years of my life. I have not been working for about 5 years. So I pretty much stopped working a job about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I think I hit like $200,000 in my TFSA, and at that point, I started to make like 10, 15,000 a day. I was watching my account go up because of the
Whoa.
weed stocks. And that's when I pretty much stopped working, because I'm like, okay, what's the point? I'm like, I'm watching my investments go up like crazy. I'm going to work. I was working at the school board with kids that have like special needs, EA, so autism, Down syndrome. I was making like $180 a day. And, you know, I'm watching my account go up $5, $10, $15,000 a day. So I pretty much just stopped working 5 years ago. Occasionally I'll go in because I actually still kept my job with them as a supply. But yeah, in terms of habits, you know, I'm just a little too much. You know,
Yeah.
if you're going to focus on something 8 hours a day, every single day for 5, 6+ years, you know, you're gonna learn a few things. You're gonna have a lot of ups and downs, and you're gonna get a lot of experience, and that's where I learned a lot. And even to this day, I still make some really stupid mistakes, you know. And I'm not the best trader in the world, but you know, because I've been doing it for 8 years, you know, I was able to get in on a lot of things, you know, and build my net worth quite a bit, because I started so early. Whereas everyone got in the last 2 years, you know, it kind of became a bubble in the last 2 years, everything. And I knew that too. I'm kind of like, when everyone jumps in, that's usually the time to actually jump out or start shorting. So I was shorting a lot this year, and I made a good chunk of money on the options, put options.
You also have an options course, correct?
That I'm working on it, yeah, because a lot of people, they want to learn options because you can make so much money with options with so little.
Yeah.
The thing is, you can lose so much money so fast too, you know. And if you guys seen my posts, I lost, you know, essentially $2 million on Tesla puts, and that happened basically because, you know, I started options this year and I had more capital, but I'm like, okay, options is risky. I'm going to start low, 10 grand. And that 10 grand became 20, then 40, then 50, then 100, and then 200, then 500. It was going up like crazy because I was shorting. I was doing put options at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like you said, everyone else, the narrative was different. Everyone else was still long. Everyone was thinking, oh, buy the dip, right? And I was thinking, nah, I'm going to short everything. So my account was going up like crazy, and I was making so much money because these options, they're insane. They could go up 30, 40, 50%, 100%, 500% in one day.
Yeah.
There's some Netflix options today that went up like 3,000% in one day.
Jeez.
So that means if you put $1,000 yesterday and you held it to today, now you're at like $30,000 in one day.
Oh
if you
my
put
God.
10 grand, now you're at 300. I didn't do that, unfortunately, but you know, I missed out on that one. But you know, you can make tons of money on options with very little. So I did that. I scaled my account insane, literally to $7 million from 10,000.
Holy shit.
Insane.
And at that point, I got so freaking confident. You know, I was on top of the world, you know, because this is more money than I ever made before. Like, I trade stocks for a long time, and, you know, I was trading stocks, but, you know, a good day in stocks, I was making like 20 grand, 30 grand on a really good day. You know, the options now, like, on my average day, I was making like $100,000 in a day. I had one day where I made 2.2 million in one day.
Holy shit.
Damn.
And that was actually when I peaked, because I guess I got way overconfident at that point. I thought I was invincible, you know. When you're making that much money, like,
Dude,
you kind of lose your mind. You
it
start
gets
not
to your
thinking
head.
clear.
Gets to your head.
Yeah. And then I messed up, and I gave more than half of the 7 million back. More than half of it. Now, in technical terms, I'm still up millions of dollars on the year, so obviously I've still done well. But you know, that's a big mess up, you know. But now I'm trying to like do it a little slowly again. I'm like, you know what? I locked up a lot of my money because in like GICs, and I bought a lot of gold. Because those stuff I consider extra safe. GICs is like the safest you can get. I consider gold quite safe. Gold can be risky too, but I think gold is going to have a big move in the coming year. So I put the bulk of my money in ultra safe stuff, and I'm trading with a really small amount. And I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? I literally turned 10 grand into 7 million before. I can do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
100%.
playing with a small account now. And that's so because I started to lose a lot in the summer because I made 7 million, then I lost 4, after.
Yikes.
Wild, bro.
I lost
It's
2
insane.
million on that Tesla trade, and then I started revenge trading. So then it
Oh,
got
yeah.
even worse.
that.
So and then I'm like, I was just losing too much money. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go give all of my money back. Like that would just be so stupid, I'm like, let me count my blessings. I'm still ahead. Who the hell makes millions of dollars in a year? So
Yeah,
thank God I'm still up
that's
a good
incredible.
chunk.
Yeah.
I locked it all up, and now I'm playing with a really small amount. So I'm hoping I could do it again.
Yeah, no, that's
Dude, that's crazy. $7 million is not a small amount
It
of money.
sounds unbelievable and it's insane, and but there's the other side. I gave a lot back too. So, you know, options, you can make a lot of money. But yeah, I'm working on an options course, not finished yet. Basically, I'm trying to simplify it for people because a lot of people, they find it a little bit complicated on how it works. So I'm making a course to like make it really easy to understand.
Sick. Do you
That's
have a
awesome.
Discord, bro, too?
I have a Discord. I'm currently not marketing it. If people ask me, um, I I'll send them the link and they could join. I charge only $50 a month, but I don't market it because I don't want people copying me. I make mistakes. I'm not right all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of these other guys are marketing their Discord and they're saying, join, you're going to make so much money, join the right team. I made all this money every day. And, I like to show people the downside too, because it's not all green. A lot of people lose a lot of money. It's a hard game to play. So I don't like to market it too much. And I work every day. I go live. In the mornings in my Discord, I provide a lot of ideas and analysis. I tell people my trades, and I believe I provide a lot of value for the $50 that I charge per month, but I don't really market it because I don't want people to think they can just join and copy me and make money. Because the best thing people can do is learn how to fish for themselves.
Yeah.
Nobody should copy me. I shouldn't copy you. I don't like crypto. Doesn't mean you should copy me. You like crypto. Doesn't mean I should go invest. Everyone has to do their own thing. What's important is that they understand how things work. And if you understand how things work, then you can come to your own conclusions and make your own investment decisions.
Yeah.
So the Discord, it came about because I never really wanted the responsibility. But basically, I was selling the course and then my original course. And, I'm like, let me just give people who have my course like a free chat room and I'll provide ideas and stuff. And I did that. And I gave them like lifetime access to the Discord that I created for them. And then I'm like, okay, I'm like doing this anyways. I'll leave these people. They got lifetime access. They don't have to pay anymore.
Yeah.
They bought my course. So that's a little bonus for them. But then I'm like, okay, if I'm doing it anyways, I might as well open up a Discord and offer like a subscription thing. But yeah, I don't market it because, it's a lot of pressure having all these people follow me. I have over 2,000 people in my Discord. So, and all these eyes are watching everything I do, and it's embarrassing if I lose money and make bad trades. I have all these eyes on me and people expect me to be like a superhero or a god, you know. And the truth is, everyone makes mistakes and bad trades, and just
Yeah.
because I've had a lot of success doesn't mean that I'm always going to be right or always going to have success. And so I have a lot of great ideas, and I do believe I help people a lot. But
Yeah.
definitely, the best thing people can do is learn to fish for themselves. And then if they want like a community and they want to talk with people and share ideas and get my thoughts, but not necessarily copy me, that's what the Discord is for. Just you always want to do so many things in
Yeah.
life. And now I started making my own cologne. I
Yeah,
like
Oh
to
dude,
branch
yeah.
out.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah.
Good thing you said it. Dude, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, I have some cologne, and I got more into cologne a little bit more recently, and I bought some Gucci cologne. It smells really good, but like the smell doesn't last very long,
Mhm.
and I got to spray so much of it. So I'm like, I don't know how that came about. And I start thinking, I'm like, I wonder if I can make my own cologne. And I started doing research on how cologne is made, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should do this. And when I start a business, what I do is I look at all the margins and stuff like that, and I see if it makes sense or not. So I'm like, okay, how much does it cost me to make cologne? How much does it cost me for the bottle? How much does it cost me for shipping? And how much can I sell it for? And so all the margins and everything made sense, and my idea made sense because like I said, I'm not completely satisfied with the colognes that I have because they don't last long enough. And so I'm like, okay, let me make my own cologne. I'll do my best to make it better than the other ones that I use. And I'll put my best scents and stuff there that I like. And I
Yeah.
thought, though, I'm like, okay, nobody's going to buy cologne off of me because, I mean, they never smelt it before if they're going to purchase it online. And, obviously cologne is a lot of brand names. So I'm like, okay, let me make this cologne. Let me provide additional value with it, and I thought cologne is about attracting positive attention. It's about, oh, you smell good, it's about
Yeah.
attracting positive attention in a way. And I'm like, let me make it about attracting everything: money, attention, intimacy, success. And I'm doing that by I'm just incorporating the secret into it. And the secret is the law of attraction. I'm not sure you guys know about
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you think something, if you think it and you believe it, it tends to happen. So that's kind of the basis for my cologne. But also with it, I was planning to provide education. I was thinking things to like start a business. And another thing I was thinking was to work with a female. And I've been talking with a girl already to do this. And because cologne's more of a manly thing, of course. And so I was working with a female to actually make like a little course to teach men how we can attract more women. And well, I wanted to attach this course to the cologne for free, like as an additional bonus. And
That's
that's
so
why people
smart.
would buy my cologne over Gucci, because not only does it smell good and last long, but it also provides additional value.
Bro,
That's incredible, man.
you just explained to every NFT bro what means value in a project.
Yeah.
What?
Shit.
Yeah,
No,
no, that's
honestly, man,
insane.
I think that's incredible. That is smart because I saw it on your story too, and I was like, man, I literally thought, I was like, man, this guy's crazy because it's like he's crypto, like cologne and crypto. But now I hear what you're gonna do with the course and the cologne. I think that's gonna be really good, like business plan and even marketing. That's gonna be so cool to market.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I kind of always wanted to do a course on how to become like a more desirable man,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I think a lot of men have problems.
Okay.
meeting women. And I think, at least when I was younger, I was like always wondering, like, how do I get girls to like me? And so I kind of always wanted to like put together some sort of guide or course that focuses on this, but it seems a little corny. And so I'm like, okay, let me make it not about the course. Let me make it about cologne. And that's just an additional value attached to it. And so that was the idea. And, I know you guys been asking me a lot of questions and making this all about me. And I appreciate that. I like answering all your questions. And, I just want to say anybody out there, anybody can do whatever they want if you really just put your mind to it. Like, who would think that I could make cologne or, and I've done other things too. I have a photo booth business. I've got my courses. I do stocks. I do options. I work at the school board occasionally with kids that have special needs, all kinds of stuff. And, ultimately people, if you put your mind to it and your idea is, you got to think of good ideas. You got to spend time. You got to write a business plan. You got to put it all together. You can achieve so much success so fast, so unbelievably fast if you have a good plan. And you don't need a lot of money to do it either. Like the investment in my cologne thing, it's not much. It's costing me like less than $5,000, and I'm getting websites, I got bottles, I got the smell, all kinds of stuff. And I'm working on the smell myself, by the way.
It's exciting.
And it's a little bit of a do-it-yourself kind of at-home project at first, but basically the point is to perfect the smell, and then once I get the ingredients proper, then start producing it on a bigger scale. We'll see how that goes.
Make sure to let us know. Would love to. I'll literally buy one. I'd love to check it out. Plus, I'll use the course. You
know what? We all love. I love women. I love to meet women, and I had problems when I was younger. Sometimes, meeting women, and I'm like, why don't these girls like me? Or I'm like, so, and I'm not no guru. I don't even consider myself a stock guru. Okay, I don't want to tell people I'm not a stock guru. I'm a guy who's been doing this for a while, who's managed to have a lot of success, and I put it simply, and I am quite smart, but I'm not the guy that tells you buy this, you're going to make money. No, I'm just thinking outside the box all the time, and I'm not no relationship or girl guru either. I do have some success with women, a decent amount. I found that happens more as you get older. And you just become way more chill as you get older. You're not like so insecure or clingy. You focus on yourself more. And in general, also women just tend to like men a little bit older. So these are things I've learned. And, I like to teach people things that I've learned.
Bro, in this generation with how everything is going, I think providing guidance and help to young men is so important, and it has so much value.
Absolutely.
And it's like there's so many, like we all know people and ourselves even who've struggled before, so it's like doing that, you're doing that for the good of the humanity, because like we need more testosterone in this world.
I agree. 100%.
Exactly.
I agree. We need that. And I know you guys have to go, but I do the best that I can to help people, and I'm not here to push my course or anything on people, my cologne. I don't expect people to buy things from me. My main goal is to make money trading, and look how much I made earlier this year. I can sell thousands of colognes. I can sell 1,000 courses, and it's not going to add up to what I've been able to make trading. So that's all additional bonus. For me, that's a little security, because trading isn't guaranteed. 1 week 100%. I'm making a fortune, another week you are losing money. So I hope I can help people, and I probably scare a lot of people because I talk a lot of crap about crypto and the house market and Tesla. And, in a way that's my intent, because people are blindly jumping into things that, I don't think they're totally understanding the risks of things, you know.
100%.
Options is very risky, so put that out there, you know, and in case anyone's thinking they can turn 10 grand into 7 million like me, you can quickly turn 10 grand into zero.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you
Actually,
know,
I used to trade options too, and then it went good for me, but it also went horribly wrong. So I actually switched over to crypto. That was when I switched over. But I this whole investing journey of hours and stuff, like it all started with options back when I just turned 18.
nice.
That was exciting. So I learned a lot. I went through a lot. You go through a lot of emotions when you learn, because you start. I revenge traded every single time I lost. Every
Yeah.
single time I
Oh,
rest, I revenge traded, and then I would lose 2, 3 times more.
oh yeah, I've
So
revenge traded millions of dollars down the drain. So I
yikes.
understand. What I do, and the most important thing you have to do, is you have to separate your money. And this is my most important lesson. You know, this is probably the most important thing people have to know. Separate your money. You can have millions in your account. Does just take some out, put it
Yeah.
somewhere else that you can't lose it. Open another savings account at a completely separate bank, because it's so easy to just increase your position or to transfer
Yeah.
more money, and then you end up going from being up so much money to losing. So the best lesson that people can learn is put money aside. Lock in your gains, and just put it aside, and don't play with all of your winnings. Play with some of it, but not all of it.
100%. You gotta pay yourself first before you pay back to the market.
Yeah. And the interest rates are high now, you know, you're getting, it's not super high, but hey, I get 5% guaranteed now. That's pretty
Yeah,
good. For
Oh yeah.
yeah,
me, I throw $1 million in there, I'm guaranteed $50,000 a year. And I don't have to do anything, no risk at all. So the
yeah.
GICs is a good way to just keep a little safe money and make a little bit on it at the same time. So I
That's
hope I
really
can
good.
help you guys too, and you know, maybe next time, because you guys been asking me all the questions, maybe I can do a video and ask you all the questions.
Absolutely. Let's do that.
Bro, honestly, yeah, this was awesome. This was really good. I loved we loved connecting with you, and it was great. Are you in Toronto? You're from Toronto, right?
Yeah, just north in Vaughan, but yeah, it's 20 minutes away from Toronto.
Yeah, no, we were in Toronto this summer, actually, there was an NFT conference, and we
Okay,
went there. Vitalik Buterin, actually, founder of Ethereum, he was speaking there, and we spent
nice.
some time in Toronto, which was incredible. If we actually come back to Toronto, we'll hit you up. We can go hang out or something.
Yeah, let me know. I'd be down for that. And I just want to say, in terms of NFTs, because maybe you're just curious of my thought there.
Come on, tell me, 10 Bagger.
NFTs, NFTs, in my opinion, have more value than the cryptos, and not these JPEGs, but it depends on the NFT. Because if you have an NFT and that NFT gives you exclusive access to whatever it is, a concert, a certain uh, group or whatever, a party, whatever, NFT, if there's value attached to it, then it makes sense. See,
Yeah,
cryptos, to me, there's no value attached to it. It's just imaginary coins. But NFT, there has to be value attached to it. So NFT, maybe it's not about the JPEG, but it's about, you know, hey, if you buy this, now you got access to an exclusive club, and there's
yeah.
millionaires in this club, and you get to talk with them and whatever. Not maybe they'll have more value. I still wouldn't invest in them, but I think they have more value than the cryptos themselves, personally.
Yeah, no, it's like same thing with your cologne, right? It's like utility. Like the projects that do the best, like in NFT world, is the projects that have the best utility. Like some
Yeah.
projects have you with this card, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? They have the utility of every holder. They come into a private event where just the holders are like, and then
Yes.
you meet with other people, like-minded individuals, and you can learn so much from them. So Yeah,
Yeah,
I see what you mean by that with utility being very, very important.
for sure.
We're gonna coming to an end here. Thank you very much for coming and joining us. Do you want to shout out your page and where can people find you, or your website, or whatever, wherever they can find you?
Yeah, so it's 10Baggerstocks, 10Bagger stocks, and I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I have a Twitter too, but with my Twitter, it's 10Baggerstocks X at the end of it. But my main platform is Instagram. I tend to post there the most.